Pictures got hidden, obscuring the past, history rewritten, hung in a hallway where no door can see, confirming his unending fragility. If Trump can't see it, you must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list, object permanent, a milestone missed. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. protesting was the line that he said. Hundreds of thousands needlessly dead. Now HHS is run by brainworm quack, hiding the truth behind his back. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list, an administration run by narcissists. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. Documents stacked floor to the wall, top secret folders in a bathroom stall. Charges were pressed, but the case was dropped. A corrupt judicial system he can co-opt. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list. He'll swear it's fake news, a liberal twist. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. Downtown tents lining the street. Invisible people that power won't meet. Hide them away so the cameras can't find it. Proof of a system that's cold and unkind. Of chaotic secret and NDA sign. An illegal bribe, Michael Cohen fine. Trump got fined too over his gag order, but she didn't gag, cause he was much shorter. If you can't see it, it must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list. We can't let him win, we must resist. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist.
Trump piled debt, trillions tall. Promised Mexico would fund that wall. Praised dictators, said they're strong. Had Joe done it, they'd say he's wrong. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would flip. Had Biden done it, they'd scream foul play. But Trump did it, so it must be okay. Go through crises, storms and more. Called soldiers losers who died in war. Hire his kids to run DC. If it was Hunter, they'd scream treachery. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, full numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, Fox News would say evade. But Trump did it, so it must be okay. Love Kim Jong-un, he wrote love letters that take the guns first, lose those rights forever. Signed you spending bills with glee. Had Joe done that, it'd be tyranny. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, full numbers would flip. Had Biden done it, they shall up today. But Trump did it, so it must be okay. Kept secret files, countless untold. Said Putin's word was good as gold. Invited the Taliban to come to U.S. soil. If Joe had done that, they'd all recoil. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, full numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, they'd want him to pay. But Trump did it, so it must be okay. Double standards loud and clear. Rules for Trump, but not for peers. What they call treason if Joe's the name is patriotism when Donald's to blame. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, full numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, they'd shout no way. But Trump did it, so it must be okay.
self-proclaimed king, a groper in chief, stealing our country, a crooked orange thief. Faux patriots who are poorly educated, wearing red hats and also unvaccinated. Liberal Dan will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, the animals unite. Liberal Dan Radio, talk on the left, that's right. A failing media that's barely treading water. They're too inept to fight this new world order. Corporate pigs are at the trough, hear the squeals. The swine won't bite the hands that feeds them meals. But Liberal Dan will see us flow. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, animals unite. Liberal Dan Radio, talk on the left, that's right. A leftist voice on air, exposing MAGA treason, breaking through their lies with facts, logic, and reason. Unmasking hypocrisy, the truth will be our guide. Call out their lies, justice is on our side. 'Cause Liberal Dan will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, animals unite. Liberal Dan Radio, talk on the left, that's right. Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right.
And welcome back to Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from the Left, that's right. This is your host, Dan Zimmerman, coming at you live from New Orleans, Louisiana. We're going to open up the phone lines in just a second, because we're, a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. But, you know, we're gonna talk about with y'all, because I had a very busy day with work, and I just had a very stressful day. I'm not necessarily in the most chipper of moods currently, but it is. I'm sorry, that's Trump's words.
It is what it is.
Thank you, Donald. And we're gonna open up the phone lines in a smidge, and anybody wants to call in, left, right, center, you're more than welcome to give a shout out, give a call. Just remember, just one simple rule when calling in is that when somebody's on the phone, don't call. That's it. I will try and remember to turn off the image as when somebody is on the phones to remind y'all that it's not the time to call in. But if you call when somebody else is on the phone, I'm gonna block you, because you're gonna be blocked because you're messing with the show. You're not following the show rules. So that's the simple rule. Very, very simple and easy way to handle it. Don't call when somebody else is on the phone, because we don't have multiple lines, and you're just going to hear the call waiting, call ID or whatever. I mean, I don't know if I can change it to where, where we don't get the pinging in or whatever, but let's see. Let's see if I can do that right now. Always use it, anonymous, incoming calls, my device is call forwarding. So I can actually shut that off. So get alerts from this, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, I don't care about that right now. We don't have to have the intro for who's who. But anyway, just please just follow those simple rules. It makes everything much easier to deal with. We'll still do that. Whatever. Anyway, so support the show. Remember, like, share, subscribe, comment on existing videos, share them as well. I have a backlog of stuff to upload because I've just been really busy with stuff. Shouts out to Orvilby over on the Twitch chat. We got Jeff from just north of Uranus. We got Teresa. Good to see you, Teresa. Thank you for joining. The Goddess Kimchi is in the chat, as well as Aaron, one half of the mod squad. Let's see, who else have I missed? Kevin, you're welcome for the ad, no problem. I was assuming mutual friends basically was like, hey, you must be that Kevin. So I was like, all right, that's cool. We good. Jonathan, good to see you, Jonathan. Chucker John's in the chat. Everybody shout out to Chucker John. Remember, if you've not followed Chucker John yet, please remember to do so. Karen Adams is also in the chat. As we scroll down, Aaron tells y'all to please behave yourselves, not in the mood for shenanigans. 7 to 8 for 10 out of mouth pain. I am very sorry to hear that, Aaron. John Glad. Kimchi says, fine, I will leave my clothes on tonight. See, Aaron, look what you ruined. Anyway, maybe that would be better for Liberal Dan Radio After Dark. I'm still toying around with when that's going to start, what we're going to do, and making the channel to begin with. But maybe sometime in the next month or so, we might start making little small bits of content for that. Impeccable Living is in the chat.
Oh my.
Good to see you, Impeccable Living. Nick is also in the chat. Slava Ukraine. Jackie, Josh, BBS666, Molly, it's a joy to see you. Bethany. What else? It skipped a whole bunch. Suzanne. Jolie, the other half of the Liberal Dan Radio Mod Squad, is also here. Good to see you, Jolie. Michael, thank you, Michael, for being a Liberal Danimal for 4 months. What else? Have I missed any? If I've missed anybody, Jolie has been a Liberal Danimal for 20 months. Thank you for all the support you give as well. CR is also here. Man, I skipped the page jumped down and skipped a lot. Anyway, so the shirt, it's not one of my shirts, but it says, I got to see the candy first before I get in the van. I'm not stupid. Anyway, so clearly, right? Clearly I'm not stupid. At least I can pronounce acetaminophen and other words. We'll get to the other words that Donald Trump can't pronounce in a bit as well. So, anyway. Again, we have all 4. If you have not followed the Spotify playlist that has 4 of the Liberal Dan Radio original songs, please make sure to do so, and share those songs a little far and wide from YouTube as well, because one of those has gotta one of those has to pick up and be a banger, because a lot of people many people are saying that Liberal Dan Radio music is the best music out there. Many people are saying it, so you need to share it so that other people can share it too. Right? Thank you, Bethany. It's not one of the Liberal Dan Radio originals. You go to store.liberaldanradio.com. You can get a Liberal Dan Radio shirt, be it the Al Gore Needs More Rhythm shirt or the FDT as well, the F Donald t-shirt. That is both up there. Trying to come up with some. I have another one in there, but they're actually potentially thinking about changing where what storefront they're going to use. So we're going to see what happens with that. And fortunately, all I have to do is pick where store.liberaldanradio.com points, right? Overheard while doing archaeology in West Virginia. Headache, need ibuprofen. Ibuprofen, huh? Propene. Is that something that Impeccable Living is?
Oh my.
Sorry. We have much love for Impeccable Living. Even though he leaves us sometimes to go do gay stuff, which is perfectly fine. You can always listen to the replay, right? Anyway, so let's just go ahead and we will, as we are talking about stuff, we will go ahead and put the call-in number ahead right now. Actually have to take off Do Not Disturb as well. 562-LibDan1, 562-542-3261. If you see, I knew you were propane. If you do want to call into the show, that's your number. Again, remember, if you call in, if somebody else is on the phone and you want to call in, just wait for the call to be finished, and then you can call in. We may actually limit people's time. If we want to have a bunch of calls in today, I might try and limit the calls to like maybe 5 to 10 minutes a pop, depending on how things are going. I might change my mind if the conversation is going really well. However, I guess that's my prerogative. It's the way I want to live. It's my prerogative. Anyway, tell me why. Anyway, don't want to start Liberal Dan karaoke. I mean, I'm sure if I'm just doing it a cappella, I'm not going to be in any risk of risking a copyright violation unless I do Louis Armstrong. So I think we're safe there. But so one of the first things that I wanted to talk about that Hal was talking about on the show just a little earlier was, Donald Trump, of course, had his problem saying the word acetaminophen. Wait, hold on. Well, let's do that and...
well, let's see how we say that. Acetaminophen. Acetaminophen.
Tylenol, like Porky Pig. Tylenol. Acetaminophen, yes. Anyway, so would it be acetaminophen if it was from John Cena and then you couldn't see it? And then, of course, if Trump can't see it, it must not exist.
If Trump can't see it, you must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list. Object permanent, a milestone missed. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist.
Anyway, so yes, Trump can't see it. It must not exist. Acetamida and a minute. Not going to work here anymore from Office Space, right? Anyway, but yeah, he has a list of 20 things that he wants in his peace plan, and here's the interesting thing: is just that I thought I had today, which would be a very interesting thing to have happen, because what happened with Ukraine? Trump was like, you don't have the cards, and being on Team Putin, because he's always been on Team Putin, but then all of a sudden he gets tired of Putin not working with him, and he does it, and then he's like, oh, well, we're going to put sanctions on Putin, this, that, the other. How much is it going to take for Netanyahu to not go along with what Donald Trump has said or is proposing, for Netanyahu, for Trump to then come in and say, I'm going to take the side of Hamas now? Like, what's it going to take for that to happen? I don't know. But here's the thing. Benjamin Netanyahu is like, sure, we'll take the deal. We'll agree to this in principle. Why does he say that? Because he knows that Hamas is not going to agree with it, and if Hamas doesn't agree with it, then Netanyahu doesn't harm him at all to say, of course I'll go along with this. We will go along with this because we want peace. Of course, Netanyahu doesn't want peace. Netanyahu needs war, strife, and struggle in order for him to keep in charge, especially with the ragtag coalition of conservative idiots he has in his coalition in parliament, to be able to make sure that, he can retain power, and as such not have to deal with the criminal charges that he's facing. Although apparently in Israel, Prime Minister can, be forced to go take a deposition unless he has a little hachu, little sneezes or a little cold or whatever. But anyway, Kimchi, my cat Lucifer loves your music. She is transfixed. Oh, I love Lucifer, and I love the name Lucifer too. That's very cute. So anyway, Trump's 20-point plan to end Israel's genocide in Gaza, published in full. Now, of course, I don't think Donald Trump worded it in that way. But this is how Al Jazeera worded it. But this is the first place that I saw the whole listing of what was going on. So we are going to look at this list of what Donald Trump is proposing. A, Gaza will be de-radicalized, terror-free zone that does not pose a threat to its neighbors. Well, if it's a terror-free zone, it has to include Netanyahu causing terror with indiscriminate bombing within Gaza's territory, right? I mean, that's number one. It's not just a one-sided thing, but that's really not. That's a bunch of bogus words that mean nothing whatsoever. Hey, Janelle, good to see you. Gaza will be redeveloped for the benefit of the people of Gaza who have suffered more than enough. Of course, Netanyahu probably is like, they're not suffering. There's no famine. There's no starvation. What are you talking about? But yeah, what was Trump's plan before? He was going to remove all of the people from Gaza. Trump didn't say to the South Sudan, but that's what Netanyahu said. And then he was going to build a resort. So what, is he going to just build a resort and then, be able to hire the people, the Palestinians who lived in Gaza, if they come back, to be able to, have cheap labor? Is that what they're going to do? So Trump can benefit from more cheap labor and have him, if you want to come back to Gaza, you got to work for me. If both sides agree to this proposal, the war will immediately end. Israeli forces will withdraw to the agreed-upon line to prepare for a hostage release. During this time, all military operations, including aerial and artillery bombardment, will be suspended, and battle lines will remain frozen until conditions are met for the complete stage withdrawal. Within 72 hours of Israel publicly accepting this agreement, all hostages alive and deceased will be returned. So the clock starts now, apparently, because Israel said that they publicly accepted the agreement. So, but is Hamas going to do that? Why would Hamas give up its leverage? Hamas probably feels that the only leverage it still has right now, despite the indiscriminate bombing by Israel, and who knows how many of the hostages have been killed by Israeli actions as opposed to Hamas actions. Within 72 hours of Israel, all hostages alive and deceased will be returned. I believe that when it happens. Once the hostages are released, Israel released 250 life-sentence prisoners plus 1,700 Gazans who were detained after October 7th, 2023, including all women and children detained in that context. For every Israeli hostage whose remains were released, Israel will release the remains of 15 deceased Gazans. Now, here's the thing. I don't understand why it's not one for one, because in reality, the life of one Israeli person should be worth the life of one Palestinian person. So to me, when I see that, I mean, it benefits potentially the folks in Gaza more and the Palestinians more, but when I see that, what I hear coming from like Netanyahu and Trump or whatever is that Gaza and Palestinian lives are worth less than Israeli lives, and that's BS. Now, will Hamas agree to it because, they want to get as much as they can? Probably, maybe, but maybe not. Thank you, Jolie, for gifting 5 Liberal Dan memberships. Appreciate you. Once all hostages are returned, Hamas members who commit to peaceful coexistence and to decommission their weapons will be given amnesty. Members of Hamas who wish to leave Gaza will be provided safe passage to receiving countries. Now, I can't believe that Netanyahu will actually agree to this, because Netanyahu doesn't want to give amnesty to people. Netanyahu wants to destroy them. Look, I understand the desire to have peace. Even I am kind of like, if you're somebody in Hamas who's responsible for the death and destruction that took place on 10/7, the fact that you're willing to give those people amnesty says a lot. I mean, I don't know if I would even be like, I would have to, look, if you're the leaders of Hamas and you organize this crap, being given amnesty is ridiculous. But, perhaps for the purpose of peace, it's reasonable to do that. But I can't imagine there are going to be people in Netanyahu's administration, Netanyahu himself, who are going to agree to that amnesty provision. Upon acceptance of this agreement, full aid will be immediately sent to the Gaza Strip. At a minimum, aid quantities will be consistent with what was included in the January 19th, 2025 agreement. The one under Biden, regarding humanitarian aid, including rehabilitation of infrastructure, water, electricity, sewage, rehabilitation of hospitals and bakeries. Why bakeries? Why not just all establishments where food can be prepared? And entry of necessary equipment to remove rubble and open roads. Entry of distribution of aid in Gaza Strip will proceed without interference from the two parties through the United Nations and its agencies and the Red Crescent, in addition to other international institutions not associated with the matter of either party. Opening the Rafah crossing in both directions will be required. We will stop reading this for a second because we do have Big Hook calling in. Hey, Big Hook, what's going on? We'll get back to reading of the list of 20 things that Trump is claiming will happen, and we'll get back to you. So what's going on, man? Good to hear from you.
Hanging in there. We're experiencing some liquid sunshine here in Vancouver today. It's, all in all, not a bad thing. Wash away some of the dirt and stuff. Keeps me from having to wash my car and whatnot, so that always helps.
Oh, man. I wish I could just have the rain come and not need me to wash my car. That would be lovely down here. Unfortunately, the rain doesn't have that good of a cleaning effect. Anyway, what's going on, man? How was your weekend?
It was okay. It's stressful in regards to seeing how Trump is trying to amp things up, going after people and whatnot, and threatening this and that and the other thing. And, it's like he's showing his hand in one place, and I'm worried that he's going to strike in another place because he's got everybody's attention drawn to someplace else and whatnot. I mean,
he's a con artist, so it's kind of like, we're going to do this over here, and then, boop, what happens over there? Exactly. So...
yeah, so, I don't know. I mean, you hear, sorry, I don't talk for long periods of time, and it starts, the post-nasal drip gets me. My concern is the maggots don't seem to have lost any of their enthusiasm, right? Like, there just aren't enough people that are coming to the conclusion that Trump is hurting them, and to me that's frustrating because it's like, if you can't see the reality now, what makes me believe that you're going to see it later on when it does directly affect you? I just don't know. I don't have confidence that this is going to end well regardless. I don't know. What are your feelings? Do you have an existential dread, running through your veins as much as I do? I don't know.
Pretty much. I don't trust Donald Trump as far as I can throw him, and with my bad knee, I shouldn't throw anybody. But anyway, I'm not holding my breath on anybody who is not directly affected by the harm that he's doing to wake up and be like, oh, it's his fault, and clearly it's his fault, because they're not going to see it unless they feel the actual pain. That being said, some of even when they are feeling the pain, some of these farmers will just choose to ignore it and try and believe that the fault lays with somebody else and not with Donald Trump and his terribly, horribly shitty policies. But yeah, it's like I would love, one thing I probably will do, because I often will call into this radio show, and occasionally he's gotten less likely to take my calls, but I still get in from time to time. It's always the same people that he accepts the calls from, but with me, with me, you're the one who most likely calls in. But he still goes to me from time to time. But I definitely would love to hear his reaction to members of Hamas getting amnesty if they agree to coexist peacefully. The idea that I can't believe that there are going to be people who are going to say, what? How is that? How is that? They might be some pushback on that from some of the people who think, that Trump is, oh, he's so great for the Middle East because of the as he was saying, Abraham Accords, and it's not even like, if he's trying to pronounce it in the how it's pronounced in Hebrew. There are multiple problems with how he's pronouncing it. A, it would be Avraham, i.e. a V, not a B. And then when you say the R, if you're trying to be authentically and speaking the language properly, you would use the rolling R, but from the back of your throat. Like you just ate a lot of like cream cheese or a lot of dairy, and you have just a lot of stuff back there, maybe some postnasal drip or something, and say Avraham. That's how you would pronounce it if you were trying to pronounce the, pronounce it in Hebrew, but Donald Trump couldn't care less. He's just trying to pretend to be smart when we all know he's not. But, it's...
You're talking about somebody who says he wants to know the oranges of the Epstein files and the Russia investigation.
There's also the oranges of COVID and anonymous. It's anonymous. He doesn't say anonymous, right? It's anonymous. And of course, there's covfefe, and of course, acetaminophen, which he can't pronounce.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. It's like everybody else can see what an idiot he is, and that he doesn't have a plan. He just basically says shit off the cuff and never follows through with anything. So, like,
except for following through with indicting James Comey and political rivals. That's that. I thought they were against lawfare, but hey, I guess lawfare is fine when he's in charge, right?
Yeah, but that's the thing. I mean, Republicans lie all day and night. They screw over the constituents because they don't have to follow through with any promises except to the billionaires and the millionaires who give them campaign contributions. I mean, this is the thing. I mean, they don't care how many farmers go bankrupt or anything else. I mean, this is the thing.
Yeah, Kimchi points out his history. Kimchi says his history has planes in the Revolutionary War. Yes, because they ran parts in the airports. They went to the airports in the 1790s. Yes, we can't forget all of the ways in which Donald Trump is stupid. Of course, if we run out of, we'll probably never run out of ways that Donald Trump is stupid. Anyway, go on, continue.
Yeah, but this is just it. I mean, like, what was it? There was a Hawk podcast thing there where he had a short, and there was an actual maggot who said, Trump's ICE deported my wife, and now I'm left with my 2 kids, but I'm still all in on Trump. And it's like, oh my God. Like,
well, I mean, the conservatives don't treat their women as people anyway. They're just, property to own, and I guess he probably figures he can get a new one, right?
Yeah, I know. And this is just it. Like, I can't. At what point do you have a conversation when you know that there are people out there that will overlook this sort of stuff? I mean, ICE is getting more and more vindictive. They're using harsher and harsher force without means or a warrant or anything else. There was another creator, I think her name is Happy Pancakes, and she brought up some points. She said, you need to get your paperwork in order so that way if you have an immigration lawyer, you have to have the paperwork with you and signed by the immigration lawyer, so that way when you get picked up, they can walk directly in because you have signed papers that already allow them to represent you and everything else. You have to do the work now. You have to do the preparation ahead of time. You can't just rest on your laurels and expect, if I hide, they'll never get me, because they're using AI now to basically go through the Palantir database of driver's licenses as well as IRS records to addresses along with license plates and everything else, so that way they can target these people. There is no safe harbor. And now Trump is saying, he's going to prosecute those who harbor these people in a safe place. So,
like churches.
Yeah, or churches or, neighbors' residences. And now he's going to say, ICE has the power to break into any home, regardless, to search for people, Right. I mean, this has gone to the ultimate level now.
I mean, it's Nazi
You
shit.
know.
It's literal Nazi shit. They can go door to door and search your house for people that you're hiding from the government tyranny. That's Nazi. That's Nazi shit. There's no way to say that it's not. Of course, the conservatives will say it's not because to them everything is Nazi stuff. Even though we don't say everything is Nazi stuff. We only say that the Nazi stuff is Nazi stuff. But of course, to them everything's communism. So, or socialism. So.
But okay, here's one of the things that I was thinking about, and I know I feel like I'm beating a dead horse here, but you know, socialism, capitalism seems to be the only workable democracy, because here in America, it's a failed democracy. There are just too many ways for everybody to basically put up barriers, whether it be the filibuster or to refuse to show up for a vote or to break quorum or to, you know, and as a result, nothing gets done, you know. Mm-hmm. And when you look at the Scandinavian countries, they have the highest voter participation. They all agree that natural resources within their country are the property and assets of everyone. So as a result, they use the funds from all those things to basically be invested in the social welfare system, which means you get a free education, you get free health care, you get subsidized housing, you get job retraining, you get unemployment insurance, you get real police who don't go out and abuse their power to, you know, and that's the thing. And they go, who has the happiest who's on the happiest index? And it's always those countries, because they basically do what, and this is what gets me, because especially with Fugelsang and what he's been saying, the teachings of Jesus, and to live the lifestyle of the teaching of Jesus, mm-hmm. Those are the only countries that actually do it.
Right.
And guess what? They're not Christians. They just came to the common sense and decided, let's do what's best for everyone.
Right.
And this is my point. You guys have the model right in front of you, and you refuse to take it every single time. You guys have gone to the greed principle, the Wall Street principle of Michael Douglas in his speech of greed is good, greed does this, greed does that. You know what I mean? And you guys live in this dystopian nightmare of your own making, because so many of you refuse to show up to vote and to make the changes and demand it of your representatives and say, this is not going to fly anymore. You know, maybe a third party has to be created so that way you could say, here's what I'm going to offer, and then completely destroy the Republicans as well as the Democrats. I don't know. Maybe that's the answer. Maybe it's not. I mean,
the problem with the third party, the problem with the third party is like the side that party leans to is the side that it hurts, because we don't have a parliamentary system, we have Congress. So forming a third party, like especially at the presidential level, is just going to harm, you know, it's going to make it easier for, like, if you have a left third party that blows up, it's just going to harm both sides on the left and help the Republicans win, which, you know, is clearly not ideal. So
yeah, no, I understand that, and that's the thing. I get it. Okay, the third party, the Jill Stein conundrum, where she basically steals enough votes to get Trump elected and to put Republicans back into power, where they do absolutely nothing.
It's weird, though, because had the people who voted for Bernie had just not flipped to Trump and instead voted for Jill Stein, Hillary Clinton would have won. So there's sometimes it goes against the grain or whatever. But again, it's like it's difficult, and what part of the problem is also is that the way that the establishment Democrats think. And we're going to be talking about this more on Wednesday. If you remember, sometimes I've had a couple times on my show, I've had Britt Gandolfi, somebody who's part of the Democratic State Central Committee, somebody who has run for office. We've had her on the show discussing her campaign, discussing her book. There's still a link to the book in the comments. So we're going to have her on the show Wednesday. And there was apparently a conversation within the Louisiana Democratic Party. The people and they voted like 47 against and 45 for to be able to create a progressive caucus within the party. And the Democratic Party said, nope, we're not going to support that, because the ridiculousness of the Democrats in this country is that they're listening to the MAGA Republican BS that the reason that the Democrats lose is because they've gone too far to the left, when in reality, running to the center hasn't won the Democrats the ticket. Didn't win the ticket in 2016. It didn't win the ticket in 2024. Now, of course, you can write off a good punch of that to sexism and racism, in appropriate states as needed. But we can't listen to what Republicans are saying and be like, oh, well, that's how we fix our party, because that's what the Republicans exactly want us to do. We need to move to the left to be able to get the people on the left to be engaged, to be excited, to have something to look forward to, and to get them out. Of course, there are some leftists who are never going to be happy with whatever you do, because they're, agree with me 100% or nothing. They're just as bad as the MAGA
Well, it's always
folks.
the same. The conservative fundamentalist ones are always the worst, whether in any religion. There's the, whether it be Judaism, whether it be within the Muslim world, whether it be within the Jewish world, they love the violence. They love the might makes right philosophy. Oh, if you have enemies, the best thing to do is kill them all, and then claim that you fix the problem.
Well, typically a lot of that problem is the fact that a lot of the extremists when it comes to religion, be it Islam, be it Judaism, be it Christianity, is that they're all conservatives. But the thing is that we can't just, like I'm sure leftists will be glad to hear me say the party needs to stop running to the center. It needs to start running more to the left to be able to get more people on the left. But what the left also needs to realize when it comes to this is that we need to move every seat. We need to attempt to move every seat to the left, which means we need to, in swing districts, that as less they're becoming fewer and fewer. But in swing districts, if you're in a centrist district, you can't run a leftist progressive in those districts, because you're going to lose. You need to run somebody who is more moderate in each individual swing district. That being said, we still can't just ignore LGBTQA rights. We cannot ignore the rights of marginalized and oppressed people. We can't just give in to the Republican BS that they spread about DAI and Black Lives Matter and all this other stuff. We too often allow the Republicans to control the narrative, and I'll sound like a dead horse, but that's the reason why the Republicans are so good at spreading that bullshit message is because the Republicans are so pervasive across social media. They're so pervasive with their podcasts. They're so pervasive with ever. So when Gavin Newsom says things like, we need to get out there and need to spread the message, we need to listen and follow the example that the Charlie Kirks of the world said, it's not because we need to just go debate 18 to 20-year-olds and be douchebags. It's that we need to have a wider reach across social media, across podcasts of all different sizes, and if they're not going to put the money where their mouth is, we're ceding that territory to the conservatives, and that needs to stop. We need to fight them every place, every show, every talking point that they use. So,
well, this is what worries me, especially with the young people, because what's happening is that the Republicans are going after them, because guess what? They don't have enough life experience. They don't have enough education behind them. So as a result, they eat up the lies that they're told, and they become parrots that just repeat everything that their representatives tell them, and they become obsessed and whatnot, And then some of them go down the even deeper rabbit hole where they become radicalized. And then we get these mass shootings where they come out and they go, "Oh, you're not extreme enough." I want to see a woman, chained to a bed and at my, at my every whim,
Right.
they want, this is the thing. It is a sickness. They believe that they are entitled to something that is not guaranteed, and that's the thing. You have to earn it. You have to be kind to women. You have to do the work. You have to get a good job. You have to be a good catch. You have to, you have to talk to them on their level and figure out what you agree and disagree upon and decide whether or not you're compatible and whether or not you challenge each other in ways that you enjoy in life, and this is just it. These people don't, I saw Bill Maher on Friday, and oh my God, the horse shit that he's flinging is disgusting. He says, I have to admit, Republicans always show up. And of course, who did he have on? He had Nancy Mace on there. And then at the end, he tried to both sidesism the blame of inner turmoil within the country, and he tried to dump it on trans and LGBTQ rights. What a fucking piece of shit, Oh, I'm going to say Republicans got some work to do too, but it works both ways, and it's like, it's not the liberals going out there and shooting people.
Right. In
It's
fact,
not
the
happening.
guy that shot up the Mormon Church had a MAGA sign on his yard. So that was reported, I think, earlier today. But yeah, it's that's one of the reasons I used to love I used to love Politically Incorrect. I used to love Real Time with Bill Maher. I really enjoyed it. And then he started just jumping the shark and just completely and running to the center, trying and not understanding, being all boomerish, trying to understand. And there are boomers who are not boomerish, let's be clear. But being all boomerish as it pertains to, listening to, the woke stuff. Like, woke doesn't mean what they think it means. And if you seed them, we can't be woke, then you're basically losing the battle when it comes to protecting marginalized and oppressed people. One of the interesting things, though, is when we talk about Charlie Kirk, there's a reason why he only debated 18 to 21-year-olds in college campuses, because A, he never graduated from college. B, when you see him debating people who are older, who are more educated, who are more seasoned, he falls apart and can't handle it. There is I think, he got out of his chair at one thing and started threatening Cenk Younger or whatever. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Cenk anymore, but he was just yelling at him.
The Cambridge debate were something else, and if you want to see it, there's a YouTube channel called Rationality Rules, and they break down all the fallacies and all the strategies that Kirk used, and it's all basically a cop-out, and, whether it be appeal to a higher authority, obfuscate this, say that, oh, well, where does this come from, or just say, oh, well, you're reading a different interpretation of the Bible, whereas mine is this, right. And and I mean the whole thing comes across. He was completely full of shit, and the thing was is that they kept going at him, and then at the end he would say, "Oh, you guys are easy. I won that debate," and it's like he fucking fell on his face.
Right, and I don't remember the name of the woman. I wish I would remember the name of the woman who Charlie Kirk had to hack this debate in as well. But I mean, there was a debate where he was having a debate with an older, educated. I mean, she wasn't old, but she was definitely college graduate, more experience when it comes to discussing the issues.
She proclaimed herself a feminist, and after he had come in and already said that he completely disagreed with feminists. And said that it was destructive to the family unit and whatnot. I mean, like I said, he was a hypocrite on every single level.
They were also talking about redlining and the GI Bill and how those two worked together to where black soldiers were promised the ability to, just like the white soldiers were promised the ability after fighting in World War II, they were promised the ability to be able to get these low interest loans, but then they all worked together. All the banks were like, well, we're only going to write these loans in these neighborhoods where, that were, whatever the red line was, it was only in the white neighborhoods and not in the black neighborhoods. So the black people who risked their lives for this country, the black veterans, were not able to take advantage of the program that everyone else was able to take care of. And Charlie Kirk just kept on interrupting her. Charlie Kirk just kept on, trying to change the subject and saying, well, what about this one bank that did this one thing at one time that happened to be black owned? And it's like, well, you're going to use this exception to prove, to disprove it. Well, the exception proves the rule because everyone else was doing crappy things, but he would not let her get the point through because he knew he did not have the winning argument. He knew the facts were not on his side. So instead of actually ceding the point to her, especially because she's a woman and she's a black woman at that, he had to, speak over her instead of, actually understand, taking the time to actually learn something.
That must have been from one of the Jubilee debates, was it?
I don't remember off the top of my head. It's
sounds like it was from one of the Jubilee debates, because that's the thing. That's where he thought because he got to control the questions and whatnot, and didn't have to answer questions that he didn't want to answer. Where do you think the government shutdown stands at this point?
I think it's shutting down. I think it's shutting down.
Do you think Hakeem Jeffries and Schumer have any power in the dynamic, or, because they're basically going to say you have to you need to fund the Medicare as well as everything else, and so that way the nursing homes don't start kicking people out, and that people get their money and whatnot. I that's a good fight to have, but you know what? I don't hear Jeffries or Schumer going out there and jumping on a soapbox and making that argument. They're just sort of like, I sent him a strongly worded letter, and
right.
he seems to be unwilling to engage, and and what are you going to do? And it's like, well, you need to be shouting that absolutely everywhere, and you need to go jump on a plane and have have these AOC Bernie rallies out there and start spreading the message, because
right.
That's part of the job of leadership, and that's the thing. AOC and Bernie are doing your fucking jobs,
pretty much,
which annoys me to no end.
There are a lot of people out there who are trying to not make sure that Chuck Schumer is not the minority leader in the Senate after the next round of elections, or even earlier. The person whose name I was trying to remember, who kind of couldn't remember, Brianna Joy Gray is the one who he debated, and it's Bernie Sanders. She was the national press secretary for Bernie Sanders' 2020 presidential campaign. She hosted the Hill's web program Rising from September 2022 to June 7, 2024. Apparently there was some issues where, she didn't actually act perfectly, and as such she got fired because, people on the left have to behave perfectly or else they get fired. People on the right, like Kilmeade, can, make horrible comments and just say, oh, I'm sorry, if even that, and they get to keep their jobs. Wonder why.
Well, the Washington Post fired the last black journalist they had on staff.
Well, obviously, because I'm sure there's something Trumpian involved there as well, because
she refused to say, oh, we should worship Charlie Kirk, and she says, I have no sorrow in my heart for this guy, and they said, oh, well, you're now promoting retaliation. And it's like, no, she isn't.
No, not at all.
She's just repeating the words that Charlie Kirk said. You can't. Oh, how dare you repeat Charlie Kirk's words of hatred, bigotry, and racism verbatim back to us? That's horrible.
Pretty much. I mean, it's laughable if it wasn't so harmful. I mean, I still laugh sometimes because what else can you do? But the just Like, it's so mind-numbingly dumb how, people will, again, yeah, it's not, just because you say I'm not mourning his death doesn't mean you're encouraging it to happen to other people. I'm not going to sit here and allow myself or other people to be gaslit over the wonderful person that Charlie Kirk was, and the straw man of Charlie Kirk that they've created. Like, if they said they want to build a monument to Charlie Kirk, on college campuses or whatever, like in Utah or whatever, and it's like, you can't. The only monument that would have to be built at this point is the one made of straw, because the only thing that they're putting out right now about Charlie Kirk is straw man argument. So.
Well, exactly, and that's just it. What's going to happen when the government shuts down? Because then the question will be, will the checks be sent out or anything else? And I want to bring about another point. There's a guy in here, actually, on Vancouver Island. His name is Todd Maffin, Maffin. And he put out a thing, and he said, it's disgusting that you guys have another government shutdown, and the politicians never pay a price. It's always the little people that pay a price. And he said, that doesn't happen here in Canada. You know what happens? If you run into a budget shortfall or whatever, or you can't agree upon a budget, guess what? They declare a vote of non-confidence, and they have an election immediately. Right. And they resolve the issue. And everybody gets their checks. Nothing shuts down. The government is basically challenged, and people are given the choice that, you know what? These people don't want to play ball, so you have to vote them out. And that's what we do.
Here's the thing. Here's things that get paid versus things that don't get paid. So if you are a federal employee whose work is funded through sources other than appropriations, then you will continue to work and get paid as normal, which means the Postal Service, which is self-funded, they will continue to get paid because they're not affected by government shutdown. Retirees, like military and federal retirees, will continue to receive their payments. Processing of new applications, though, might be delayed. So if you're a new retiree, you might be screwed. Recipients of mandatory spending programs such as Social Security and Medicare will get their benefits without interruption. Funding for those programs do not require on yearly congressional approval. Of course, President, members of Congress, and judges get their compensation because of constitutional provisions that prevent them from having their pay reduced while in office. But other people who don't get paid will be furloughed, non-essential employees, accepted federal employees, and also federal contractors who are not guaranteed back pay after a shutdown. Of course, there are employees who are required roles who still have to work who might not get paid. So basically, until the government reopens, it's basically legalized slavery when it comes to that. But so not everything gets stopped, but there are definitely things that get stopped, and all those appropriated things are not going to get spent because the government has shut down. So,
well, like I said, the week this is what I mean about the existential dread that I feel, because like the Supreme Court basically said, oh yeah, Trump can stop the USAID funding that was congressionally approved. He can stop that money from going out. That was already agreed upon, was already set aside, and everything else, And so, like, the Supreme Court, the so-called Christian conservatives are going out there and basically starving to death these other people, across the world, or condemning them to, AIDS and other communicable diseases, death, because that also includes vaccinations for MMR and all the other things that basically plague those countries and lead to the highest factors of child death and mortality. I don't know. You guys have currently in power, three branches of evil.
Yep.
You have the Congress, you got the Senate, which is evil, and now you got the judicial, which is evil, and then you got the executive, which is Trump, who is fucking evil as fuck as well. And I like where you guys are going. I don't really want to imagine, because he comes up with even more evil shit all the time. The military transport planes that are going and dropping these deportees out, and he's going and telling them, oh, by the way, turn off the transponders so that way nobody will know where they're going, or that the flights can be tracked as to what's going on. And it's like, and I'm thinking to myself, you know what? These motherfuckers learned the lesson from the first time that you don't have paperwork. You just, it's going to be all word of mouth, and they can lie on the stand because there won't be any fucking paper trail to indict these motherfuckers after all is said and done, and the power returns into the hands of the sane. And that's my biggest worry right now, is that these people are going to get away with all this shit to, he's going to go and turn the military on the American people.
Right.
And
we're going to have Tara on the show probably next week at some time, because she lives in Portland. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that and all the gaslighting about all the horrible things that are going on in Portland. We're going to have that maybe Monday. I don't know. Haven't confirmed that yet, but we'll have her on for the first time in forever. However, yeah, it's just the gaslighting of, and he's doing a shell game. It's like, oh, we're going to go to Chicago. Oh, no, we're going to go to the Louisiana cities. Oh, no, we're going to go to this city. Oh, no, now we're going to go to Portland. Now we're going to go here. Now we're going to go there. And it's just making it so that you can't follow whatever it is that he's doing, because you can't keep track of it, because, again, they're flooding the zone with misinformation. So,
well, this is my thing. I think there's going to be no paper trail. I think that this whole thing is going on, and it's basically we put evil people in charge, and we give them deniability. We'll say, oh, well, he's following the orders of the president, and he has guaranteed me, that he's going to pardon me at the end. And we'll all fly off to a sunny destination and never be seen or heard from ever again. And this is, that's what it is. I remember the good old days when Banana Republic was a clothing outlet, and now it's your fucking government reality.
yeah, unfortunately.
I don't know where to go from there. Americans will, your reputation is shit worldwide, and that's the thing. There's a lot of good people in America, a lot of really, really smart, highly educated people in America. And you put the dumbest, most evil motherfuckers in charge. And that's disgusting.
Yep. And what we need to have happen, honestly, is I don't know how well this could get accomplished, but, and it might be distasteful to some, but we need real, true, patriotic Americans, not MAGA supporters, but we need real, true, people who want justice, who want liberty, who want to, stop this crap. We need people to, those people to join ICE, those people to join the FBI, those people to join other parts of the federal government and start working for them, so they can keep track from the inside and inform the people what's going on from the inside, because we're going to have...
Well, that's the problem. He's removed all those people already, so that way everybody that's there currently is under a loyalty purge.
Well, that's why they got to lie. That's why they got to lie. They got to lie that they're going to be loyal. They gotta make it seem like, I'm going to be on board with all this crap, and that because we're not going to get it from the media, because the media is going to lose access, because if the media reports things from the Pentagon that are not allowed to be reported, and not just classified stuff, but just stuff that they deem as non-reportable, and then they'll lose access, and then again we have And then the spineless media is going to go, okay, well, they said we can't report it, so we're not going to report it. And then what? And then you're allowing the tyrants to continue their tyranny. So,
well, this is it. The press should not be in the hands of conservative billionaires. Like, these should be public entities that are publicly funded, that have a responsibility to the people to report the truth and to, look for the things. I mean, that's the thing. The hedge fund managers have gone out there and bankrupt every local newspaper everywhere, as well as, the radio stations and everything else. And like Fugelsang said, you guys need to invest in media. You need to go out there and do stuff, because there's so little of it out there right now outside of YouTube content creators and, Stephanie Miller's show or Tom Hartman or, and that's the thing. You have to go and search it out. And more often than not, you can't hear it in red states because it's not on the radio or anything else. And unless you've got Sirius XM or whatever to be able to get that broadcast over the internet to your phone or whatever, you're not going to get those viewpoints as well as facts and figures that are, true, as opposed to what, the Trump regime is going to tell you. So, but yeah, I don't know. I wish I was more positive, optimistic, and hopeful, but I see things just getting worse and worse, and I think you guys need to prepare for some really disgusting, hard times. I think you need to stock up on essentials as well as whatnot, because with this idiocy, what's going to happen? You're going to have another fucking pandemic that's going to strike.
Yep, and because the morons don't want to listen to doctors' advice, and we have RFK Jr. as fucking head of Health and Human Services, we're not going to do what's needed to do to prevent the spread, and many, many more hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people will needlessly die because of their ineptitude and their rejection of science and et cetera. That was the one thing I was worried about with COVID-19. As soon as people were fighting back and these stupid ass governors like Abbott and DeSantis were like, pushing back against, the lockdowns and the mandates and everything else like that, I'm like, these people are going to make it so that if we have an even worse pandemic with a worse issue, that they're not going to follow. Even if Donald Trump comes up and says, this is really bad, you guys really need to, this is not COVID, this is something completely worse, you need to stay inside, you need to get the vaccine, you need to wear masks, and they're going to be like, nope, freedom. And then not only are they going to, and if they would just, if it was a choice that just affected themselves, whatever, I don't care. But because their choices affect other people, especially other people who are immunocompromised and other folks who are, disadvantaged in some sort of way, that's the problem. But they don't care about that. They go back to the Bible and quote the Bible, but when, Cain said, am I my brother's keeper or whatever? And the point of that they take is, I'm not my brother's keeper, that's right. When in reality, the point was, you should be your brother's keeper. You should watch out for the well-being of your neighbors and your brothers and your sisters or whatever. You should do that, but they don't understand this because they practice a faux religion that is not even based in the text of Judaism and or Christianity. So,
well, that's why Fugelsang's book is so important.
Exactly. And there's a link to Fugelsang's book still in the thing. I think I need one or two people to kind of trigger that as well. Even if you do the audio book, I get bounties or whatever from Amazon doing that. So if you haven't downloaded the book yet on your Audible, if you haven't bought the book yet for John Fugelsang, go into the comment section, get the link, go ahead and buy it. It supports the show. It supports John Fugelsang. It supports win-win for everybody, and you get a wonderful book. So,
yeah. Well, anyway, I probably hijacked too much of your time.
Well, I did say everybody was going to get limited to 5 to 10 minutes, but I clearly wasn't going to do that to you because I like hearing you talk.
Nobody else called in, so I figured I had to start the ball rolling.
Maybe because they listened, which is actually good. You know, the people who do listen to Liberal Dan Radio Talk from the Left is Right actually listen to me for the most part. So thank goodness for the people who listen to the rules. But I also did take down the call-in image as well. But anyway, thank you so much for calling in, Big Hook. Again, you're always welcome to call in whenever. And
I really want the best for you guys, but you know what? I don't know, and this is the thing. I think it's also a matter of you guys grabbing the reins and making your Democratic representatives more vocal as well as active, you know, because the thing is that, you know, you guys want change, but you guys aren't holding these guys' feet to the fire, and, you know, that's disappointing. And I mean, Canada, as Hal Sparks says, it's all about incrementalism. Well, guess what? He's quoting what Canada has done. Canada is all about incrementalism. We have always made little improvements here, little improvements there, and eventually it adds up to be a lot. But that's the thing. You guys aren't even getting that done.
Right.
And that's what's so frustrating, because we look at you guys and we say, you guys go out there and you proclaim, oh, greatest country in the world. And it's like, greatest what? Piece of shit in the world? You know, because you guys deny each other everything and you fight over the scraps, and, you know, the billionaires fucking own everything. I mean, you guys fucked it up. You fucked it up. You basically kept electing Republicans who constantly dug the hole deeper and deeper and deeper, and now you're at the point where you're at the bottom of the well and you can't climb out. You know?
Gillespie in chat because Canadians feel like they're living in the second-story apartment above a meth lab. I don't see the lie there.
Anyway, I feel like I'm going to burst a gasket here, but, you know, it's just disappointing because you have so many good people out there, and the thing is that it's so much of this shit is unnecessary. And the thing is you have idiots of the highest order who are running around telling lies and enabling the stupidest people and saying, oh, well, that's what you got the Second Amendment for. You know, it's like, and then they claim that we are the ones that are committing violence. And it's like, that's not the case at all.
Right.
You know, open your eyes. Oh, don't believe your lying eyes or your lying ears, or, I mean, God, it just never fucking ends.
Nope.
That's what's so frustrating.
That's why I posted I just posted an image about, basically paraphrasing 1984 and basically just said MAGA. This is on TikTok, whatever. MAGA tells you to not believe what your eyes saw or what your ears heard or whatever, basically citing 1984. Of course, I also posted the Theodore Roosevelt quote to say that there should be no criticism of the sitting president is morally treasonable. And then, of course, somebody said that nobody ever said that. I'm like, they literally said that. I cited who said it. Y'all are the reason why Donald Trump said he loved the poorly educated after the 2016 Nevada primaries, because that's my favorite jab at them.
It's like
even
that
if,
other
even if
quote
that doesn't get through to them.
Well, it goes like the other quote, which is that the government should fear the people, as opposed to the other way around, where the people should fear the government. And that's where you guys are at right now, you know?
And right now
anyway,
it's the media mostly fearing the government as well, because the media will bend over backwards to not be punished by, whole Donald Trump and his, reign of terror. So anyway, thank you so much, Big Hook, for calling in. Appreciate you, and you have a great rest of your night.
Okay, thanks. You guys too. Hopefully you got another caller who wants to air their grievances. Thanks.
And if I don't, we'll play the Charlie Kirk video with Brianna Joy Gray, because I found that too. So we'll react to that for a little bit as well. So just to show how bad Charlie Kirk was. But I mean, anybody else is free to call as well. But thank you so much. Have a good one.
You too. Take care.
Bye. But big hook, everybody. Thank you for calling in as always. I need to skip that and then pop this open here. Oh, this is like an hour and 10 minutes long. Ew. Oh, we have, Aaron subscribed for 21 months. Thank you, Aaron, for, I should lift that up a little bit to make it, oh, that's not that. Twitch alert. Let's see, let's maybe lower it and then, oh, that's the Buy Me a Cider one. Ugh. Twitch alert. There you go. There we go. That's better. I'll put it a little higher so that it doesn't interfere with the chat. Anyway, thank you, Aaron, for subbing for 21 months. On a 21-month streak, no less. So, wow, this is an hour and 10 minutes of Charlie Kirk having a debate with, of course, it goes to commercial again. I may have to go through this, but maybe we'll play this on another day because I'll have to. Let me go ahead and put the call-in number again. Maybe we'll have to play this on another day simply because of the fact that I don't necessarily want to go through an hour of 10 minutes if there's better clips to watch or they're short, or maybe I can shorten up. Tim goes, I find Hal to be disrespectful unintentionally at times to Canada. Well, I mean, South Park said it isn't a real country anyway, right? But, you know, it isn't a real country anyway. I do love though when they talked about Bryan Adams in the South. I think it was the South Park movie, Bigger, Longer, Uncut, and he's like, no, the Canadian government has apologized for Bryan Adams years ago, because I've told the Bryan Adams story already. So, anywho, let's see. Go back to the list of Donald Trump's 20 points or whatever that he wants. Entry of distribution of aid without interference, blah, blah, blah. We already talked about that. Gaza will be governed under the temporary transitional governance of a technocratic, apolitical Palestinian committee responsible for delivering the day-to-day services and municipalities for the people in Gaza. This committee will be made up of qualified Palestinians and international experts with oversight and supervision by a new international transitional body, the, quote, Board of Peace, which will be headed and chaired by President Donald J. Trump. That ought to be good. Him in charge of the Board of Peace. That's like, the person who changed, Hegseth to being the Secretary of War instead of the Secretary of Defense. Yeah, some Board of Peace. I mean, maybe he meant that he's bored of peace, and that's what he's saying. But yeah. I'll also include former Prime Minister Tony Blair. The body will set the framework and handle the funding for the redevelopment of Gaza until such a time as the Palestinian Authority has completed its reform program, as outlined in various proposals, including President Trump's peace plan in 2020 and the Saudi-French proposal, and it can securely and effectively take back control of Gaza. This body will call on the best international standards to create modern and efficient governance that serves the people of Gaza and is conducive to attracting investment. When are you going to do that here? For the governance here. I mean, that's not happening here. Why would we think that it would happen over there? So, Trucker John, maybe we should become the United States of Canada. I mean, we went from wanting them to be the 51st state to asking them to make us a province, right? Will Trump make Dana White mayor of Gaza? Who knows? He'll probably set a regional governor over the Gaza, and it'll probably be Jared frickin' Kushner, because that's a smart idea, right? Trump economic development plan to rebuild and energize Gaza will be created by convening a panel of experts who have helped birth some of the thriving modern miracle cities in the Middle East. Many thoughtful investment proposals and exciting development ideas have been crafted by well-meaning international groups and will be considered to synthesize the security and the governance frameworks to attract and facilitate these investments that will create jobs, opportunity, and hope for the future of Gaza, mostly under the Trump brand, right? It'll be Trump this, Trump that, Trump shawarma, Trump falafel, Trump med, Trump hotels, Trump whatever. A special economic zone will be established with preferred tariff and access rates to be negotiated with participating countries. Of course, probably part of Trump med, right? No one will be forced to leave Gaza. That's full of shit. You already said you wanted to kick everyone else out of Gaza. And those who wish to leave will be free to do so and free to return. We will encourage people to stay and offer them the opportunity to build a better Gaza. I don't believe that one at all. Hamas and other factions agree to not have any role in the governance of Gaza, directly, indirectly, or in any form. All military, terror, and offensive infrastructure, including tunnels and weapon production facilities, will be destroyed and not rebuilt. There will be a process of demilitarization of Gaza under the supervision of independent monitors, which will include placing weapons permanently beyond use through an agreed process of decommissioning and supported by internationally funded buyback and reintegration program, all verified by independent monitors. New Gaza will be fully committed to building a prosperous economy and to peaceful coexistence with their neighbors. That, of course, requires Netanyahu to also be committed to peaceful coexistence with his neighbors, and I don't believe that's going to happen for a second either, because Netanyahu is a war criminal. A guarantee will be provided by regional partners to ensure that Hamas and the factions comply with their obligations and that the new Gaza poses no threat to its neighbors or its people. I mean, that's a nice thought. Do I believe that Donald Trump would be able to accomplish it? Not at all. United States will work with Arab and international partners to develop a temporary international stabilization force, the ISF, to immediately deploy in Gaza. The ISF will train, provide support, and vetted Palestinian police forces in Gaza, will consult with Jordan and Egypt, who have extensive experience in the field. The force will be the long-term internal security solution. The ISF will work with Israel and Egypt to help secure border areas, along with newly trained Palestinian police forces. It is critical to prevent munitions from entering Gaza and to facilitate the rapid and secure flow of goods. So how is, if you can't get munitions into Gaza, how is this police force that are going to be run by, or at least, people who are part of Palestinians who are going to be part of that police force, how are they going to be able to protect the areas if you don't give them their bullets, right? Because hypocrisy. Israel will not occupy or annex Gaza as the ISF establishes control and stability. The Israeli military will withdraw based on standards, milestones, and timeframes linked to demilitarization that will be agreed upon by the military, ISF, and guarantors in the United States with the objective of a secure Gaza that no longer poses a threat to Israel, Egypt, or any of its citizens. I mean, have they attacked Egypt? Practically, the Israeli military will progressively hand over the Gaza territory it occupies to the ISF according to an agreement they will make with the transitional authority, blah, blah, blah. Do we believe? Again, Netanyahu probably agreed to all of this because he doesn't believe it's going to happen, so it doesn't harm him to agree with it if it's never going to happen. In the event that Hamas delays or rejects this proposal, the above, including the scaled-up 8 operations, will proceed in the terror-free areas handed over from the Israeli military to the ISF. An interfaith dialogue process will be established based on the process of tolerance and peaceful coexistence, and to try and change them. I've ever seen the episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation in the first season, where they had these bug creatures that were taking over the people at Starfleet Command, and in the Academy, etc. And basically the leader of the bug people, or the bug controlled people, said, "We want peaceful coexistence," which of course was a lie. And of course I don't believe that Donald Trump wants peaceful coexistence either, or that Netanyahu would agree to that either as well. Hey, at least one person. The person's Commander Remick was the person who was ultimately under control, and he had the big bug thing in his gut. So anyway, that every time I read peaceful coexistence in this thing, I was thinking of that in particular. While Gaza redevelopment advances and while the PA reform program is faithfully carried out, the conditions may finally be put in place for a credible pathway to Palestinian self-determination and statehood, which we recognize as the aspiration of the Palestinian people. The United States will establish a dialogue between Israel and the Palestinians to agree on a political horizon for peaceful and prosperous coexistence. Look, I will give anybody credit who can get that done. Do I believe that Donald Trump has the ability, the capacity, the willingness, or whatever to get that done? No. Do I believe that Netanyahu will agree to all that stuff? No. Do I believe that Hamas will agree with all that stuff? No. So everybody has the responsibility to prove me wrong, right? Impeccable Living. That episode was banned for a while. Why was it banned for a while? I know there was an episode that was banned, at least partially, in Ireland because it talked about the Irish reunification of like 2049 or something like that. Maybe I have the year wrong. I don't know. Maybe it might have been sooner than that. Star Trek Irish Unification 2024. It already passed. Sorry, got that one wrong. Anyway, oh, it was too violent. Wow, interesting. I never saw it violent. I guess when I was growing up, maybe where you were watching it was different. I don't know. California, Oregon, and Washington should secede. John put succeed, that's why I read it wrong, and join Canada, that'd be a hoot. I mean, that would definitely benefit Canada. Of course, Donald Trump would probably then declare war on them, and we'd have another civil war. So, wait, sorry, let me unmute myself and then play the...
It is what it is.
Of course, anybody wanted to call in, you want to debate me, conservative or left or centrist, call in 562-LibDan1, 562-LibDan1, 562-542-3261. Karen Ames says, I'm sitting here making Christmas earrings while I'm listening. Very cool. It's always cool to be artsy-fartsy. What else? What else? The comments that I miss? Dolphins win. Guess naked was luck for once. What? What? Yeah, Trump will give himself the Nobel Prize from the Board of Peace chairman to himself, and it still won't get in heaven. Exactly. Said the Nobel Prize needs to come up with, like, you know, some other award that's gonna be like Donald Trump Award of Trumpian excellence, and just give that to him and let him like stroke it all night long, and then he'll be able to he won't have to worry about getting the Peace Prize or whatever. Jolie, I'd love to move to Canada. Living in the U.S. is too emotionally exhausting. Half our country is a bunch of shit bags. There's that, but I mean, again, if the more people who leave, the easier it is for the administration, for the current administration, to do what they want to do, which is a problem. Now, does that say that if I had the opportunity, the means, and whatever to leave, that I wouldn't? I don't know. Do Liberal Day in radio from a bunker in somewhere in some North Saskatchewan or something. I don't know. That's probably way too cold. It probably needs to be over in British Columbia, Vancouver, or whatever, because that's more temperate. I agree with you, Jolie. I'm 100% tired of all this bullshit as well. So, and then Trucker John and Jolie can talk about the turtles.
I like turtles.
Anyway, Karen, I'm not leaving. I can't afford to move anywhere. No, look, I am still bleeding money from the fact that I haven't sold my mother-in-law's house yet. So if anybody wants an investment property down here in New Orleans, i.e., you know, move down to New Orleans, get yourself a house to renovate. It's a good price. We'll get a good price on it, and we'll be able to get rid of this. You know, we don't need the house, and it does need work. It does need renovation, but you know, if you want to come move to New Orleans and, you know, help me out by buying this house, please let me do. Or if you just want to, you know, Venmo Liberal Dan in the short term and help a brother out a little bit, because things are going to be tight by the end of this month. I'll just basically say that. Karen, I have my parents' house that I'm stuck with too. Unfortunately, I don't have this house and my mother-in-law's house. Like, if it was just one house, maybe it would be good, but it's multiple houses that we have to deal with and pay for, not just the mortgage, but also the water bill and the electricity bill as well, until we get a chance to flip it. Bicycle Mike, not a chance in Louisiana. Oh, you rent. Okay. Right up. And if I had the money to actually do up the house and make it something that's affordable, sure. Absolutely. I would love to do that too. I'd love to be able to, you know, gussy up the house, make it rentable, make it so that people would want to live there, and then eventually at some point my kids can have it as a house. That'd be wonderful. It's not going to happen because we are nowhere near anywhere that amount of money. So, my parents' house. This house has definitely lost more than $30,000 in value. It's not because of the damage. It's just because of the fact that it needs massive overhaul to upgrade it, and especially like in the bathrooms and such. But yeah, it's one of my major sources of stress, and every time I have to ask my dad for more money, it kills me inside just a little bit, because I don't like having to beg for money from my parents. You know, I mean, I don't necessarily like begging to get money for anyone, but at least with the show, if you want to support me because of the stuff I do, at least I'm doing, you know, something that y'all enjoy. And so I definitely appreciate y'all when y'all do support the show in any way that you do possible, be it liking, sharing, subscribing, all the free stuff you can do, plus all the other different ways you can, you know, give subs, like, you know, gift memberships like Jolie did earlier today, or gift you know, subscriptions over on Twitch or Venmo or Buy Me a Cider or all that other stuff. Wait, support me at, what the hell is wrong with that link? Support me at Buy Me a 99. Wow, that's interesting. I might have to change that real quick because I didn't realize that was not very well done. Let's Buy buy me a coffee, log in with the Google, and then we go to buttons, graphics, stream alerts, copy link, go back over here. I did not see that at all. Properties, open up, that, done. There we go. That looks much better. Bicycle Mike held down food for the first time in 9 weeks. Congratulations, man. It's good to hear that you're improving. Yeah, I hate, one of the worst things is just, I hate vomiting. It's just, ugh, terrible. So we should all move to Wyoming and flip it blue. It would take like 10 of us. Yeah, pretty much. I actually have had this idea that we should have the billionaires of this country, the left-leaning, liberal, progressive, any billionaires in this country or multimillionaires in this country. If you really wanted to do some good, you should take, blue folks from some red states and then help them move to other red states to help make those red states blue states. Like if you're somebody who's working and you could, do that work from anywhere, move to a red state. Especially if you're moving from one red state to another red state to help flip that red state into a blue state. And if you're a billionaire, you have no reason to not to. Hell, hire the people to do work for you, right? Exactly, DB Golding. Israel agreed to Trump's plan because they know Hamas would reject it. I made the same point earlier. Exactly. 100% agreement with you because exactly what I said. Bicycle Mike, next, get rid of this pick line that's feeding me. Ugh, pick lines. Hate to have to deal with that as well. Jeff, I made an insanely low ball bid on my house. I didn't want it. They took it. I estimate its value was about 100,000 more now. I still hate it. Mine probably too is probably at least 100,000 more than what we bought it for. Which just, I mean, it needs work. My house needs work too, but still, one work at a time, right? So, does Wyoming even have any cities? I think so. I think there are some cities. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I know there are list of municipalities in Cheyenne, Wyoming. Yes, Cheyenne is a municipality, I guess. Let's see. The most populous municipality is the capital city in Cheyenne with 65,000 residents. The largest municipality by land area is Casper. Smallest municipality in both categories is Lost Springs that has 6 residents. Hilarious. Let's sort these by rank. Casper has 59,000. Gillette has 33,000. Laramie, 31,000. Rock Springs, 23. Sheridan, Green River. Anyway, Rollins, like the 10th most city is only 10,682, which just goes to show you why it's ridiculous that Wyoming has such a large say comparatively to the other states in the House and the Senate, because our country made a huge mistake by allowing such small populous states to become states. So it should have just remained a territory. There has to be a Wyoming city. Yes, Bicycle Mike, exactly. Combine Wyoming, North and South Dakota. Hey, I said combine Wyoming, Idaho, North and South Dakota, Kansas, Oklahoma, and a whole bunch of those other Midwest states. Just turn them into their own country. Let all the MAGA folks move there. Call it dumb fuckistan, and let that be the end of it. When a pandemic comes, none of them will mask up, get vaccines, whatever. The measles will ravage through it and take care of take care of their kids. Within 10, 20 years, you'll have all that area be wide open spaces again, and you won't have to worry about them at all, right? Josh, I think they should get with Idaho and Utah and call Idaho, Idaho, Idaho. I don't know the hoe. So, anyway, they won't survive the winter. No, they won't. They won't survive the flu season because they won't take the flu shots. Whatever. You don't want to play stupid games and win stupid prizes? Go play stupid games and win stupid prizes. Just don't do it to put everybody else here at risk. Go form your own little country in those red states, and then we'll clean up after 20, 30 years when y'all are done, basically offing yourselves with stupidity. So, but then they become, we don't have any access to oceans. Well, whatever. You don't need access to oceans. You can just, pray for the food to happen. Pray for the access to happen, because that's what you do with all the other problems. You just say, oh, we need to pray on it. Pray on that too, right? Pray on a way to get stuff imported. It's colder than a witch's tit there, that's for sure. Exactly. Anyway, what else are we going to talk about? Yeah, we're not going to do the Brianna Joy, whatever. Yeah, of course. Then we have the Michigan. Gunman opens fire at church, setting it ablaze, killing at least 4 and wounding 8. Grand Blanc Township in Michigan, ex-Marine smashed a pickup truck into a Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Michigan, opened fire and set the building ablaze during a crowded Sunday service and was fatally shot by police. At least 4 people were killed and 8 wounded. Authorities were searching the building and ruins for more victims. Attack was at 10:25 a.m., where hundreds of people were in the building, which is in Grand Blanc Township, right outside of Flint. Man got out of the pickup truck with 2 American flags raised in the truck bed and started shooting. Police Chief William Rain told reporters the attacker apparently used gas to start the fire and had explosive devices, but wasn't clear if he used them. Authorities identified the shooter as Thomas Jacob Sanford, of 40, of the neighboring small town of Burton. FBI is leading the investigation and considering an act of targeted violence. Officers responding to a 911 call were at the church within 30 seconds. Rain said after the suspect left the church, 2 officers pursued him and engaged in gunfire, killing him about 8 minutes later. People outside the church shielded children and moved them to safety during the attack. So you had some heroes there, clearly. 2 bodies were found during the search of the debris. Renee said more victims could be found as searchers made their way through the church. 1 of the wounded people was in critical condition. 7 others were stable. Some of the people were unaccounted for, but they didn't have an exact number. I think by this time they have been accounted for, everyone who was there. Motive not yet clear. Who the hell knows what goes through the minds of people. It was also the second mass shooting in the U.S. in less than 24 hours. On Saturday, a man in a boat opened fire at a crowd in Southport, North Carolina, killing 3 and injuring 5. Trump applauded the FBI for its response, blah, blah, blah. Pray for the victims and their families. This epidemic of violence in our country must end immediately, in quotes, Trump wrote. I don't know if Trump wrote it or someone else did, but if someone else did, they were pretty much doing a good job of imitating how Trump types. Of course, there was no kefefis in there, but if Donald Trump wanted to do something about gun violence, he would do something about gun violence, and they're not doing something about gun violence, right? Yes, go check out the P-Dubs live stream. Good to see you, P-Dubs. Thank you for joining the stream. Appreciate you. Good to see you. Let's see. The church building circled a parking lot and a large lawn is in near residential areas and a Jehovah's Witness church. Brad Schneeman, whose home is about 400 yards from the church, told the Associated Press that he and his daughter had heard 2 rounds of 4 to 5 shots around 10:30. They didn't really hear anything for a while before they left their home to see what was happening. I have friends who are Mormons, and actually they're progressive thinking Mormons as well. So, not all Mormons are hyper conservatives like one might think they would be for following Mormonism or whatever. You're welcome, P-Dubs. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for doing your streams as well. And I'm glad that I can have other people get the link so that they could also listen to you and watch your videos as well. And when you go watch P-Dub's videos, make sure to like other ones, share them as well. Don't just watch the live ones. Watch, go like, share, like and share, and comment on other videos as well. Help the algorithm, because as we all know, Al Gore needs more rhythm, right? I wish I had the time to watch more shows than I do. I just, everything's going crazy. Tomorrow is my second to last day of physical therapy for my knee, which is awesome. Last one will be Thursday afternoon, which is awesome. Very much looking forward to that, being done with that. So I still have to do the stretches at home, but, for at least a month and 2 weeks, maybe 6 weeks or so, maybe 5.5 weeks, I will have, actually it's an even number of weeks. So let's see. So the last one is this one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, exactly 6 weeks of no physical therapy before I go back to the medical facility where I had the previous surgery, get my right knee replaced, lather, rinse, repeat, more procedures. So anyway, anyway, but yeah. So again, more gun violence in this country. The Republicans will pay lip service, but won't do anything about it. Won't do anything to help prevent it. Won't do anything to stop it. I'm fully waiting, though, for Donald Trump to start saying that we should take guns out of hands of other people who they disagree with. They just won't say to take the guns out of the hands of the people who need background checks, who need to be able to we need red flag laws. We need to be able to have due process and take people who shouldn't have these guns, take their guns away because they are a danger to society, a menace to society, if you will. Boo, 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 boo. Let's see. Nobody else has called in, so we're just going to shut down the phone lines at this point because I don't anticipate anybody else calling in. Turn off the call-in number thing or whatever. But again, I have stuff I need to do today as well, so I didn't have too much stuff to discuss on tonight's show, other than the stuff that we have spoken about. So what I'll probably do is today I'll end the show a little early. I'm probably not going to do any work on it. I do have some work to do, and I'm probably going to just try and get to sleep earlier because I'm tired and I need some rest. But Big Hook says, I need distraction from the nightmare playing out in front of me in the U.S. Mental health is definitely at risk with all these evildoers in power. Yeah, I also need that as well. Might need an edible as well. Who knows? Bethany, I do PT and OT for my stroke. It also helps with my MS. Yeah, my wife, because she had her Bell's palsy and then had the Guillain-Barré. She will be finished. She's a little annoyed because I'm finished on Thursday and she's finished the next Monday. So she's annoyed that I got done with my physical therapy before hers. Of course, I think her situation was much more dire than mine was. So the fact that she's taken longer, I mean, if you count up all of the time that she did physical therapy in the hospital and compared normally it's 2 physical therapy sessions a week versus almost every day at the hospital for at least a month. She had the net result of having 14 months of physical therapy for dealing with the Guillain-Barré or the Miller-Fisher syndrome that she had. So that's crazy. Thank you, Josh. I did just get my hair did. It's very, very short. I don't know. I think I might have went a little too short, but I do like my do. Cassie didn't like the back of it. She said the back was too short. And the only thing I don't like about it is that you have this fat roll back here that is definitely much more pronounced. So I might need to make sure to keep it a little longer. So, but, as old Donald Trump says,
It is what it is.
Thank you, Donald. Hopefully, I have been on a little bit of a plateau weight-wise. Hopefully that will end soon and I'll be able to get back on the weight loss train, if you will. So, Big Hook says it's a marathon, not a sprint. Unfortunately, question is how much destruction will occur until sanity returns. Perfect question. I think that's the perfect thing to end the show on as well. So anyway, thank you all very much for watching. Venmo, Liberal Dan, if you want to help me out there. Buy me a cider, buymeacoffee.com/LiberalDanRadio. Thank you, Triva, for being a Liberal Danimal. Appreciate you for supporting the show. Thank you so much for that. Support the show all the other ways, including becoming a Liberal Danimal. So thank you all so much. Appreciate you all. And until I'll be doing Nerdy Dan tomorrow. Nerdy Dan may not be long for this world. I just have to figure out what third day that I want to do Liberal Dan Radio on, and we'll figure that out and get that accomplished at some point. But until then, we'll continue doing Nerdy Dan otherwise. So, P-Dubs, don't you worry about it. I'm happy to see you. Whenever you come in, I'm happy to see you. We're always happy to see you and everybody else that joins us each and every Monday and Wednesday on Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from the Left, that's right. And we will be back again. If you don't join us for nerdydan.com on Tuesday, we will be back here, same bat time, same bat channel on Wednesday, 8 p.m. Central, where we'll be talking to Brick Gandolfi about some of the issues that the Democratic Party is dealing with in Louisiana, which I think is an example of the issues that the Democratic Party is having nationwide as to why they can't seem to get their head on straight. Especially, they shouldn't have this problem because we're dealing with this Trump administration. It should be very easy to gain support, yet they keep shooting themselves in the foot. So, unfortunately. But thank y'all very much. Appreciate y'all. Have a good one. And we'll listen to a few Liberal Dan radio songs as we exit, starting with my first one, the Baby Incubators. So until later, peace.
They wrote it in the laws, ink still bleeds, treating women like soil, just planting seeds. She's gone, brain dead, not even awake, but the state's got a claim, gonna plant its stake. Say it's God's will, say it's life they protect, but they ain't the ones feeling pain or neglect. From Texas to Georgia, they set the trap, rights roll back while they smile and clap. Gilead's here, this is true. Hey MAGA fools, they'll come for you too. So I'm gonna jet, see you later. I'm not gonna be a baby incubator. This ain't pro-life, it's control and shame. They don't care if she's gone, just playing a game. Keep her hooked to machines, cold and still, just a vessel to them, not a human with will. No consent, no voice, no chance to resist. Just laws in place, written with a clenched fist. Hospitals scared, judges playing God. Bodies ain't temples, just state-owned pods. Gilead's here, this is true. Hey MAGA fools, they'll come for you too. So I'm gonna jet, see you later. I'm not gonna be a baby incubator. Bands in the dark, they don't care who it kills. Sacking courts while they strip out all of your wills. But we'll fight back, march loud, burn bright, cause this ain't the end, it's the start of the fight. Gilead's here, ain't no grace, and those leopards are coming to eat your face. So I'm gonna jet, see you later. I'm not gonna be a baby incubator. Not gonna be a baby incubator. Not gonna be a baby incubator.
The creative director at WGSO had a little something he thought you should know. When Dan picked on his bits, Steve got real gruff. So Steve called Dan a flake, called him liberal dandruff. Steve thinks that his lines are really clever, but when do people ever like him? Never. Liberal Dan's got better lyrics, this is true. Listen and you'll feel like I do. Liberal Dan, his show is great. Liberal Dan, he goes live at 8. Liberal Dan radio, it's the best, cause Liberal Dan's head and shoulders above the rest. Steve's about to find out his mistake. In this feud, Dan's Kendrick, Steve is Drake. Dan might not be the world's best singer, but he's got more talent in his little finger. Steve thinks that his lines are really clever, but when do people ever like him? Never. Liberal Dan's got better lyrics, this is true. Listen and you'll feel like I do. Liberal Dan, his show is great. Liberal Dan, he goes live at 8. Liberal Dan radio, it's the best, cause Liberal Dan's head and shoulders above the rest.
Gather round everyone and I'll tell you a tale about an orange-faced buffoon who should be in a jail. When people say he's done something that goes beyond the pale, he will shake his head and give this answer without fail. A hoax, he says it's all a hoax. When at a press conference or with misspelled keystrokes, he says he tells no lies and that he never jokes. Confronting with the truth, he'll say it's all a hoax. A modern Don Quixote, he hates the windmills, claiming to protect the birds and the sugar in cups. Confronting with the truth, he'll say it's all a hoax. He promised to release all the Epstein files that caused all the MAGA base to react with smiles. But how long has he put it off? It sure has been a while, and now he's calling this a hoax, protecting pedophiles. A hoax, a hoax. He says it's all a hoax. When at a press conference or with misspoken strokes, he'll keep on gaslighting up until he crooks. Confronted with the truth, he'll say it's all a hoax.
Trump piled debt, trillions tall. Promised Mexico would fund that wall. Praised dictators, said they're strong. Had Joe done it, they'd say he's wrong. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would flip. Had Biden done it, they'd scream foul play. But Trump did it, so it must be okay. Go through crises, storms, and more. Called soldiers losers who died in war. Hire his kids to run DC. If it was Hunter, they'd scream treachery. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, the numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, Fox News would say I made. But Trump did it, so it must be okay. Love Kim Jong-un, he wrote love letters that take the guns first, lose those rights forever. Signed you spending bills with glee. Had Joe done that, it'd be tyranny. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would flip. Had Biden done it, they shout out today. But Trump did it, so it must be okay. Kept secret files, countless untold. Said Putin's word was good as gold. Invited the Taliban to come to U.S. soil. If Joe had done that, they'd all recoil. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, well, numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, they'd want him to pay. But Trump did it, so it must be okay. Double standards loud and clear. Rules for Trump, but not for peers. What they call treason, if Joe's the name, is patriotism when Donald